Welcome back to the Rent Roll Queen podcast. I'm your host, Tarsi Taylor, and today's episode is sponsored by Reebok, the Real Estate Business Owners Conference. How do you find your next superstar in a labour shortage market? Today, I chat with Kate Beston from Aligned Talent Group all about recruitment. Welcome to the show, Kate.
Thanks for having me, Tarsi.
It's great to have you on the show. Can you please introduce yourself?
My name's Kate Beston. I'm from Aligned Talent Group. I specialise in real estate and property recruitment.
What are the benefits of a business owner using a recruitment agency?
Having somebody on the other end of the line there is actually really beneficial, who has a very deep understanding of the roles in which you're needing to fill within your agency as well.
Yes.
Ideally, if you've got that person there that has had direct real estate experience as well, makes a huge difference because they understand the nuances of the roles. They understand the types of personalities that work best for the individual roles as well.
Yes, because everyone's different, right?
Absolutely. And look, typically, you might get a property manager that wants to pursue a business development management role. And look, I'm not saying that it can't work. It absolutely can work in some instances,
yes.
But the mindset of a property manager can sometimes be a little bit different to what is needed for a BDM role. You need that sales mindset.
Yeah, wow.
Every time that a CCAD's placed, you can guarantee that we're getting tyre fitters, diesel mechanics. If you're spending your time having to flick through all those resumes, whether you've got somebody in-house, ideally if you do, that's great for your own brand or your own agency.
Depending how big you are, right?
Exactly,
yes,
absolutely.
But for the smaller
that
ones,
too.
yeah.
Yes, and I'm not saying that doing it in-house isn't an option, depending on the stage that you're at with your agency. If you're just starting out, you're needing to bring on your first property manager or a sales associate, whatever that looks like for you, definitely it is an option. But look, if you are bigger and you are time poor, which a lot of agency owners are, it is definitely very cost effective to actually pay out money to a recruiter that is good at what they do. They have integrity, they have professionalism, they know what they're looking for, and they've had that first-hand experience in the industry.
Well, you've just hit the nail on the head, right? It's time versus money, because, that's how we exchange today. And a lot of business owners are extremely time poor. And then to have to basically create an ad first and foremost, whereas you would need to qualify what they actually want. So can we work through that, like how the process goes? Like if I've contacted you and we've had a conversation, how does the Seek ad work from there?
So when it comes to Seek, if you are working with a really good recruiter, you need to have an understanding of what your business goals are.
Yes.
Your team culture, individually, not just holistically, but individually, knowing each individual. One of the best employers that I've dealt with in the past, they went out of their way to really get to know each of their staff members.
Right.
It was a commercial office. They had gone and purchased hard stand across the road because parking was extremely difficult for their staff.
That's amazing. Yeah, so they got to know what the problems were to get good staff, and that was obviously one of the things that was required. But I love what you said, that they actually got to understand who the people were behind their business at that point in time, because that would have been easy to relate to you and say, well, this person's got this personality type, this person does this, and then you were able to find a candidate to fit the role based on, is that person going to fit that environment as well?
So if you can really take care of your staff and really get to know them on a personal level and really take care of their own personal needs to an extent as well, then you're going to be able to retain staff for the long term. They're not going to want to leave.
Let's talk about the type of candidates you get, or the conversations that you have when you finally are starting to have conversations with particular candidates that you're trying to seek for a role. Like, what are the problems that you're finding?
There are different roles that are more in demand for candidates than others. So, for example, business development managers, administration is really important as well. The amount of agency owners that I speak to that actually don't know what their particular business goals are in the short, mid and long term. It all ties into that, because then you can plan ahead and say, okay, in 6 months' time, we need to plan ahead because we're anticipating the growth of our rent roll to be at this number, the way it's going based on the current data.
Yep.
And then we need to put on a property manager. So as a recruiter, we can go to market and start having those conversations to get you a better quality candidate. You can be more prepared for it. You know what your budget's going to be.
Yeah.
And rather than, and I get, it's a people business. Life happens. People do leave, unfortunately.
And you're saying that you get a lot of people wanting to go into real estate.
Yes.
Applying for job roles that really require experience. Can you run us through that?
Quite often I have to spend an hour on the phone with people that are wanting to get their foot in the door into real estate. They've watched a few episodes of The Block and they just they see the lifestyle and they think it's, like getting around in Porsches and drinking lattes all the time and just going out and having a few listing appointments, and it's so easier than what it appears to be. Yeah, look, we do get a lot of people that are inquiring about getting their foot into the door, and I usually have to prepare them for what to expect, what the hours are going to look like, how that's going to have implications for their family as well. If they have young children, obviously in sales you are required. Saturdays are given.
Yes.
So, if you've got kids' sports and things, you've got to have a really big discussion about that, as well as financially,
Yes.
Realistically, for a sales agent, you've got to anticipate that you're going to start, you've got to give it at least 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, you have a very holistic approach in how you find candidates, and it is by having these types of conversations and getting them to understand, okay, here's your next this is your stepping stone, this is what you need to do. But those that are already experienced and looking for work, how do you source experienced staff, I guess? Like how does that work?
It comes down to building long-term relationships with people, building that network and getting to know somebody on a very, personal level as well. So you understand very deeply what sort of culture they're going to work well with. One of the benefits of me doing what I do is that once I've gotten to know that person, I just know that they're going to be a really, really good fit for X agency, because I can just see there's so many shared interests, there's so much synergy, just the energy's the same there as well. But obviously using platforms such as LinkedIn, if you do cast a wide net, obviously, as we know in real estate sales, you cast a wide net, you're going to have a better chance of success. But the key is to really build those long-term relationships with people,
and that takes
and get them
time,
to give you a call when they're ready to look. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that, because you've built the relationships, and then when people are ready to, they're like, I need a new opportunity.
Yes.
They've spoken to you, and it's most likely that you're already speaking to an employer that they would actually fit perfectly with.
Yeah. And one thing that's always really stuck with me is that 3/4 of the roles aren't on Seek. They're not out there being advertised.
Yeah, right.
So if you have a good relationship with your recruiter and you are in a position you're ready to move, you're going to have a better chance of actually dealing with a recruiter rather than scrolling through Seek ads in the hope that by going to maybe 5 or 6 different interviews, which usually happens with a lot of candidates, they're not looking at one opportunity at that time. They're usually looking at quite a few. And also good quality candidates, they come onto the market and go off the market very, very quickly as well.
But it's about getting your time back. Because we were having a conversation earlier, and it was, when you actually sit down and think about what you actually earn on an hourly rate versus the time it takes to invest into actually hiring somebody, you can make a shitload more money.
Absolutely.
By outsourcing versus actually trying to do it yourself. And I feel like, once you start letting go, it's how you build your teams better.
If you can support the team that you currently have, as well as look at your own recruitment strategies that you have in place as well. Obviously, it's just a recipe for success right there. Look, if you're worth $300 an hour or more, obviously depending on the agency and who you are, then if you're spending all your time going through all those resumes, you're costing your business money.
You are.
If you actually go through and you calculate how much you're actually spending on recruitment fees, which, mind you, it's a tax write-off come financial year anyway. So, look, it's only going to help you to grow. And what I've always believed is that if you're wanting to create a successful business for the long term, yes, you have to invest in yourself and into the business.
Yeah.
Recruitment is a really important part of that, and getting the right staff.
Yeah, well, it's asking the right questions, isn't it? Like coming to you with the right questions and you finding the right solution for that fit. But then also, like, once the recruiter has found somebody, like you've found somebody for that business, they need to have a really good onboarding system as well.
Absolutely. I have spoken to agents, that I've headhunted for in the past. One had gone to a very big brand agency within one of their offices and ready to start, really looking forward to going into the role in sales. And they arrived to a blank desk. Principal was out of the office. I think a couple of people greeted them and said hello. There was no onboarding documents. They hadn't been set up in the system. They just weren't ready for them. And the person has come in because if that's the way you're starting, that's likely the way you're going to finish. Be prepared for your new staff to come in and to welcome them into the team. So there's the cultural aspect of it. Take them out to lunch during the day. Have them already set up in the system, have all the documents there ready for them, have employment contracts already done and dusted before they start as well.
Yes.
Ideally not on the day. That's
ideally not on the day, guys.
We happen. It's just really disappointing to hear the feedback from candidates that they've rocked up to the empty desk.
Yeah.
And just they're not expecting a big welcoming party, but, just a nice integration period would
Absolutely
be ideal.
Fabulous. Well, I mean, you go through all the effort and the hard work of finding that candidate.
Yep.
And you've done that on the basis that your discussions with the business owner is that they have everything ready to, like you ask those questions, and I know that you do. So it's like understanding that, yes, this business is fantastic. Okay, great. What's the culture? Right, we've run through all the questions. I'm going to go find you a candidate. Likely you've probably got somebody already lined up. Yep. You literally put them in that seat and then all of a sudden something like that happens and it's just like, come on, guys, we need to do better.
It's so disappointing because then it reflects badly back on me as a recruiter and the relationship that I have with that candidate as well.
Yeah, right. So, we don't like that at all.
No.
And the thing is, too, you've got to understand, like, as a business owner, you've just invested money into recruitment.
Yep.
And that's how you're starting the relationship.
And also, we've got to understand the candidates, unfortunately, we don't have exclusivity over the candidates.
No, you don't.
They're going to look elsewhere. They're going to find their own opportunities. So it's up to us to ensure that we act fast.
Yeah.
Because if you're available and you're able to interview and not also have a long, drawn-out interview process as well, if they get fed up.
Yes.
As we know, time kills all deals.
It does, doesn't it? Yes. Oh, my goodness, it definitely does.
Yeah.
And it's so important, like, to have your process already set out before you even start to have the conversation or to get guidance from your recruiter. Like, if it's the first time that they're ever recruiting somebody and they're nervous, like reach out to a recruiter. They're there to help.
So you generally have a deeper understanding straight off the bat of what you're specifically looking for.
Kate, I do have one last question for you. How can an agency become an employer of choice?
I think it all comes down to being that attraction agency. I know of agencies here in Brisbane's north side that are very big on social media. They have a lot of marketing out there. They're constantly doing a lot of videos of the culture within their team as well.
Yeah.
And they're very consistent with their marketing. So they automatically, without spending a huge amount of money on recruitment or Seek or anything like that, they have a lot of people, a lot of candidates wanting to come to work for them. Just ensure that you're consistently posting on social media, you have your marketing down pat, and people will get to know your brand. People will see your signs and see all of the content there and be like, yep, that looks like a wonderful place to work. And it will actually benefit you in the long term because you'll have people coming to you rather than you having to go to look for people.
Because the applicant will know that they're going to get supported in that way to build their own brand within the brand. Thank you so much for that.
That's
Kate,
okay.
I want to say a huge thank you for coming on the show. I'm going to put all your details in the caption. If there is anybody out there who is looking or thinking about growing their business, I highly recommend reaching out to Kate before and really discuss your plans because she can definitely help you in the recruitment space.
We can get you some good quality talent quicker.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Kate.
Thanks for having me.